Assalamu alaikum guys, hope all's going good. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at an important concept about functions in Python, known as user-defined functions. Now we've looked at built-in functions in Python so far, as you might have seen my tutorial on functions for iterables, or also working with built-in methods for strings or data structures. In this video, we'll be learning how to actually make our own functions, hence the video title, User-Defined Functions. So let's look at this code block setup here. This is an example of a user-defined function. Let's go through its syntax first. You can define any function in Python starting with a keyword def, short for define, and after that you have to define a name, as I call this function add5, and the names of our functions will always be highlighted in blue here. Now at the end of this name, we have brackets closing on x here, and this is where you can define parameters for your function. So I've defined a parameter x, and from your math studies, you may remember some questions asking you to find the value of y given some value of x. And you can see that I have some equation inside this function called x plus 5, where the return keyword simply means that we're going to return the answer of our function given a value of x entered by some user. And the name of your parameter can be anything. It doesn't only have to be x, but for our purposes, I thought it's best to just use x. Alright. One important thing to notice here is that we applied a colon after defining our function and then indented this code block by 4 spaces. So you may have seen the same case for if-else conditions or loops, where after a colon you have to indent your statement's response code below, as we're doing it here, so that the inner code block can be recognized as part of your function. Now let's call our function, which in Python just means to use our function in this script. We can simply use the function's name after defining it above, so it's followed by brackets, inside which you'd have to specify an argument for your function. Argument in Python means a value for the function's parameter, which in our case is the number 2 here. So our parameter x is now assigned to a value of 2, and then our value x will be added by 5, so we should get the result for 2 plus 5 from our function as a result. Running the program now will show that we get nothing in the console. This is because we haven't used a print statement on our function call here, so we have to apply it here as we do so for any other object to see its result in the console. Running this now gives us a value 7 below as an expected result from our function. Add 5 to 2. Sweet. So now you can see how we got our result by using the return keyword here. If I instead did not use return, leaving our equation here as is, printing this out will give us a value none, which is a data type that presents null values or no value at all. It's not the same as false or 0, it's a data type of its own known as the none type, as shown in the console. Now if I just used a print statement for our equation here, we'd actually get a print of the result below. But notice how we also got none right below it, and that's because we haven't actually returned anything from our function. This is just a print of whatever we applied the print statement on. And by confirming our function's result type, we got the class none type here. So this can be a good use case if you'd like to return nothing from your function, but just some print statement. Also, if we just used the return keyword here with nothing to return, we'd get the same result in the console after printing this out. Alright. So this was a basic rundown of a function's syntax, and you can define more functions in your script. Say I had a function -5 with a parameter y, inside which we can give an equation y minus 5 that should return the subtraction of a user's value by 5. So calling our function -5, say with an argument number 7, will show in the console the subtraction for 7 and 5 as 2. Awesome. And you can go further with a function's result, of course. Say just by adding 1 here, we get the value 3 in the console. Or also doing something fancy as adding this value to the function add5 with the same argument 7. So in total, we'll get the result of 14 in the console. Awesome. Now let's try an example with a for loop. Say I'd like to make a times table for kids, so I can set up a function simply called times table, which takes in parameters a and n. And yes, one important thing to mention is your functions can have more than one parameter, as the two shown here. So a will be the times table you'd like to go through For example, a value a equals 2 means we're going through a 2 times table, and n will be the number of multiplications you'd like to see in the timetable, say up to 10. So I'm setting up a for loop here for b in range n, under which we can have a simple print statement of a times b equals to their result a times b. So we'll see each multiplication here per iteration. And also not to forget that we should increment our value of n before the loop, and that's because the range here will just go up to but not including the number n. So the user expects to see a multiplication of a and the end number n. Okay, let's get ready to rumble. So after removing the code below here and simply calling our function, we don't really need to put it inside a print statement, since we're gonna get the display of our multiplications either way with their print statements inside the function. But this way we don't have to see the none value in the console. Alright, by running the program for times table of 2 up to the number 10, we'll see exactly this in the console. 2 multiplied by 0 all the way up to 10 here. Fantastique. And that's the only French I know. Alright, so that's pretty much it on user-defined functions that I wanted to cover for today. There's more to talk about them, which I'll do so in future tutorials. So you now probably have an idea of the basic syntax for making your own functions, and you can try making some yourself. I'll probably make another Python series where I'll present some projects for you, which can include building useful functions for automating daily life tasks. Alrighty. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, you're of course welcome to comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like or a subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good day, take care, and assalamu alaikum.